90s rapper Mase recently came back into the spotlight for calling Diddy a hypocrite after his Grammys rant. At the recent Grammys, Diddy called out the organisation in his speech, saying, "Truth be told, hip-hop has never been respected by the Grammys. Black music has never been respected by the Grammys to the point that it should be." He said the Grammys have 365 days to get it together. Mase, one of the biggest stars to come from Diddy's Bad Boy label, was unimpressed by Diddy's speech. The Mo Money, Mo Problem star accused Diddy of doing the very thing he was accusing the Grammys of. In an Instagram post, Mase exposed Diddy for his horrendous business model, accused him of starving and enslaving his artists and not doing right by them. He called him a hypocrite. Mase brought up a bad contract he signed when he was just 19 years old that resulted in him losing his publishing rights. He said he was only paid $20,000 for them. He went further to say that he offered Diddy $2 million last week to buy back his publishing, but Diddy refused, saying Mase had to give him a European man's offer. The 42-year-old rapper will now have to wait until he is 50 before he can get back his publishing rights he signed away when he was just 19. Mase said, "Before we ask of other ethnicities to do us right, we should do us as black people better, especially the creators. I heard you loud and clear when you said that you were now for the artists, and that my response is if you want to see change, you make a change today by starting with yourself. You still got my publishing from 24 years ago, in which you gave me $20,000, which makes me never want to work with you, as any artist wouldn't after you know someone is robbing you and tarnishing your name when you don't want to comply with his horrendous business model. People would always ask, what's up with Mase? So I would be forced to still perform and not look crazy when I was getting peanuts. And the robbery would continue. If it's about us owning, it can't be about us owning each other. No more hiding behind love. Give the artists back their dollars so they can take care of their families." Mase signed to Bad Boy in 1996. He had 6 top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 and 5 US rap #1 singles. He was nominated for a Grammy in 1997 for his album Harlem World, which went 4 times platinum. His other 2 albums, Double Up and Welcome Back, went double platinum and gold respectively. He retired in 1994 when he found religion, but returned in 2004. Even Brooklyn MC Source Money, who worked with Diddy and Jay-Z, criticised Diddy's Grammy speech, saying, "I respect the message, just not coming from him." Diddy is yet to comment on the situation. Other artists from Bad Boy have also spoken out about receiving bad deals, especially from Diddy's Making the Band. Day 26 said they made no money from their album sales despite generating $15 million from their platinum #1 selling debut. Danity Kane also said they missed out on millions being signed to Bad Boy. Kima from Total, who were one of the first artists to be signed to Bad Boy, spoke of a time when she was so broke she had to get a regular job. She said in an interview with Essence.com, "Some people assume that because you have an opportunity to do this or that there won't be any downs to the ups. But that's just not how it is. You think because I have a record deal with Puffy, I don't have the same struggles you have. But I've always looked at the industry as like, yeah, I got a record deal, but that ish is just like borrowing money from a bank. You gotta pay it back. At the end of the day, it's a job. You get out what you put in." To elaborate on my journey, I went to school. I have a 9 to 5. I work a regular job. Although I love Total, at some point, that ish was non-existent for me, and I still had to feel good about myself and feel like I was accomplishing something. Everybody's walk is not everybody's walk. We've seen how other artists have succumbed to the pitfalls that come with unfavourable contracts, which include low royalty rates or signing away their publishing rights. Toni Braxton famously went bankrupt twice. Her contract with LaFace Records, a label distributed through Arista Records, was grossly unfavourable towards her. She received no tour support, so was paying for more than an artist of her caliber should. It was essentially designed to pay her nothing. Hence, after her first 2 albums sold 15 million records worldwide and earning $170 million for Arista, she only received a $2,000 royalty check.
Wow, and a lot of the, you wear the, like you said, the expensive dresses and the shoes and all that kind of stuff, but what was happening, I was financing personally with my career, the image that everyone sees. I was the one financing it.
She sued LaFace Records in 1997 to get out of her contract, which was basically a starter contract, given when an artist is yet to prove themselves. She was kept tied into this contract despite being a multi-platinum selling artist.
Her deal was a beginner's deal. I call it, I hate to say this, a slave contract. Not intentionally, but that's what they do.
Mase said the same thing when talking about his deal with Bad Boy. These artists signed these deals when they were kids. Many were in their teens and just happy to have their dreams come true. The record companies know that not many kids would turn down the opportunity to become global superstars. The real question is, where were the parents when all this was going on? Some of these artists had already left home by the time they were in their late teens and were certainly out of their depth when dealing with big record execs. TLC were also given terrible contracts negotiated by lawyers of the record company. There's no way these lawyers were impartial. They should have gotten their own lawyers who were going to look out for their interests, not the interests of the record company. This is hard if you're a broke teen who knows nothing about lawyers or the music industry. Even Prince had a famous riff with his label, Warner Brothers, a label that was actually considered artist-friendly at the time. The 1992 contract, which included Warner Chappell Music Publishing, covered 6 albums and allowed him to release up to 1 new album a year, a $10 million advance per album and a 25% royalty rate was also included. The deal was worth an estimated $100 million. But Prince still wasn't happy. He really wanted to release the music in a way that was inconsistent with the contract. He wanted to put out an album whenever the urge struck him, said his former manager. Also, he detested not owning his masters. Not only could the label recoup their expenses, they also owned the music he had written. With his frustration mounting, in 1993, Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol, which first appeared on the Love Symbol album. Remember when he was the artist formerly known as Prince? He had hoped that no longer going by the name Prince would make his contract unenforceable. That was not the case though. People thought he was just being eccentric, but he was trying to fight against the powers that be and get out of a contract he was unhappy with. Wanting him to release albums in a structured way was understandable, as they are a large corporation who need to plan and forecast revenues and have strategies in place. But the main issue for any artist who writes their own songs is not owning their masters. He appeared with the word slave written on his cheek repeatedly, including on Today in 1996 and at the 1995 Brit Awards. His acceptance speech was simply Prince, in concert, perfectly free, on record, slave. One former record exec at Warner Brothers said, "It felt like getting punched in the solar plexus, especially all the racial connotations, that just wasn't who we were." Former CEO Mo Austin said, "His anger at us came out of his obsession with ownership of his work." In 2014, Warner Brothers gave back Prince's masters under the terms of a new deal that also had Prince release 2 new albums through the label.
When I first started out in this music industry, I was most concerned with freedom. Freedom to produce, freedom to play all the instruments on my records, freedom to say anything I wanted to. And after much negotiation, Warner Brothers Records granted me that freedom, and I thanked them for that.
Another artist to speak out in the same week as Mase was Kelis. In an interview with The Guardian, singer Kelis spoke about her contract with producer Pharrell Williams and his partner, Chad Hugo, who together are the Neptunes. She wasn't paid from the sales of her first 2 albums, saying she was blatantly lied to and tricked. I was told we were going to split the whole thing, 33-33-33, which we didn't do. Kelis was a teenager at the time and said she was deceived by the Neptunes, their management, their lawyers and others involved in the deal. Her first 2 albums were produced by the Neptunes. Not only did she not make money from the sales, she received no songwriting or production credits. For a long time, she didn't complain or even recognise that she was being ripped off. She was making decent money from touring, so she didn't question things. Other artists who got ripped off often questioned why they were winning Grammys but couldn't even pay their bills.
I'll tell it. We're not going to sugarcoat anything anymore. We've been quiet long enough. Can I get an amen? Amen! All right. Well, I'll put it to you this way. We are the biggest selling female group ever. 10 million albums worldwide. We have worked very hard. We have been in this business for 5 years. And we are broke as broke can be. And I know it's hard to believe because we've sold so many albums, but it is possible. That's the deal here. So, and we're not happy at all. But for real, tonight, this is all we wanted. We wanted to win a Grammy, at least one, and we won 2. And that proves that we are the jam.
In the 50s, that happened a lot. It's shocking that that's happening in the 90s.
It is shocking. It's still happening. I mean, we're examples right now. I mean, you don't understand the stress that we're under.
10 million albums, how can you be broke?
First of all, 10 million albums, and how can we be broke? It's kind of, I can't go into everything right now, but trust me, you can sell 10 million albums and be broke if you have greedy people behind you. Bro, stick together, learn from our mistakes, and you know, just well, you know, contracts and stuff is kind of hard to handle business when you're stuck in contracts that say certain things.
Cool. In the movie, we saw that they were being paid $25 a week, and when they went platinum, they got RAV4s. Is that true? I'm just asking.
Just the fact that I wasn't poor felt like enough, Kelis said. That's why she didn't question her contract at first. Eventually, she brought it up to the production team. Their argument was, well, you signed it. I'm like, yeah, I signed what I was told, she said. And I was too young and too stupid to double check it. She then added that once she ran into Pharrell at an industry event years later, he was performing on stage and she was in the audience. According to the singer, she spotted him and he did that thing to me that he's notorious for, which is making a nod from the stage, so it seems like there's mutual respect, when in reality I'm like, okay, I'm not going to yell back, you stole my publishing. So you end up nodding back and everyone thinks everything's great. Like, whatever. It's not just R&B singers and rappers who have experienced this, and it is still going on today. Last year, Taylor Swift drew attention to this issue to warn other artists about the pitfalls of the industry. She lost the publishing rights to her first 6 albums, which is owned by Ithaca Holdings. She started her career with country pop record company Big Machine Label Group. That company was acquired by Ithaca, which is owned by Scooter Braun, a manager and businessman who represents pop stars such as Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande. In a Tumblr post, she wrote, "For years, I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my work. I feel very strongly that sharing what is happening to me could change the awareness level for other artists and potentially help them avoid a similar fate. The message being sent to me is very clear. Basically, be a good little girl and shut up, or you'll be punished." As of November this year, she is allowed to re-record her original songs. Signing a 6-album deal sounds great at first. It means the record company wants you for the long run. It's even flattering to be offered such a deal because it means they believe your career will have longevity. The reality is, they do it to keep you tied in to a bad contract for years and even decades to come. The more successful the artists, the more the record company gets paid, while legally paying the artists peanuts. Sure, they get the fame and some bonus perks thrown in, but that doesn't compare to what they could have earned if they had a better contract and were rightfully rewarded for their songwriting expertise, successful album sales, and general hard work. Most of the artists featured in this video began their careers when social media did not exist. We live in a time when artists can promote themselves on a global scale without the backing of a record company. It is why many are choosing to go independent now. Ashanti said she makes a lot more money as an independent artist than she ever did when she was signed to a record company. She gets to keep everything she makes, rather than being contractually obligated to sign over most of her royalties. The fact is, there is only one Kelis, one TLC, one Mase, and certainly there was only one Prince. Knowing your worth and having the right advisors around you will help to ensure you don't get ripped off and receive the contract you deserve. While it's understandable that an artist should have to prove themselves first, it's not a position they should be forced to stay in for years to come. That's just greed on part of the record company, and proves they really don't care about their artists. All they're interested in is the bottom line. Best believe, if you don't generate the sales they want, they will drop you in a heartbeat. There are of course exceptions, and Warner Brothers really felt that they were portrayed in a bad light when it came to their dispute with Prince. When dealing with contracts, parents must be involved. Every page should be read thoroughly and questions should be asked. A lawyer representing the artists, independent from the record company, can save the artist a lot of stress and millions of dollars in the long run. Would you have signed a deal like the artists mentioned in this video for the fame and opportunity to tour and make music? Or would you have refused and stood your ground, even if it meant risking having the offer taken away? Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Share and press the bell for more.